Gen Z is grieving as TikTok is officially banned in the United States. So many of you know by now that TikTok has officially been banned in the United States. The ban has been signed into law by current President Biden, and TikTok is on its way out. The company has 1 year to divest, which means to sell the company to another US company, to a US company, or else the ban will go into effect. So they actually have 9 months for the sale, but the president can also extend that by 3 months at his decision. The problem here is that it's unlikely to find a buyer in the US that can actually afford to buy it. TikTok is worth around $50 billion in the United States. No one is going to pay that. Companies like Apple, companies like Alphabet, companies like Facebook, they can't buy TikTok. Okay. And the reason why they can't buy TikTok is because they already have competing platforms, and they're so large, and they're already facing monopoly lawsuits that they would not be able to buy it. Microsoft, yet again, after the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, and so many other things, and Microsoft being the largest company in the world, you know, it's worth over $2 trillion. That's yet another thing. You know, who's to say Microsoft even wants it? So these companies are highly unlikely to buy TikTok, and TikTok has already come out and said, ByteDance, the owner of TikTok, has already come out and said that they will not sell TikTok to an American company. And if there are legal challenges, so they're going to be filing paperwork in court, appealing the decision to ban TikTok, saying that it violates their freedom of speech and it's a first constitutional issue. The thing is, the users of TikTok have free speech. The company does not have the right to operate in the US. The company does not have the right to freedom of speech. And this is not an American company. This is a Chinese company. ByteDance is a Chinese company. They are the owners and creators of TikTok. So they said they're not selling TikTok. And I'm very confident they will not sell TikTok, at least not in its present form. The reason why is they are not going to surrender the algorithm. You have to remember that TikTok exists in a variety of other countries. Something like half of all the revenue from TikTok comes from the United States. But at the end of the day, if they were to give up that algorithm, the algorithm that powers TikTok, that recommends videos, that would be handing over Chinese intellectual property. That'd be handing over intellectual property that would allow other companies to basically replicate TikTok's success. So that is just not happening. They've made it clear that they are not going to sell the company in the US, and they will shut it down. They will close down TikTok if they are not successful in court. And the chances of them being successful in court are very, very slim to none. So TikTok is gone at this point. And the thing about this is that if you look at the responses, there's a lot of Americans on both the left and on the right that are celebrating the ban of TikTok. It was a bipartisan effort to ban TikTok. There is very strong support. Everyone, pretty much no one likes TikTok except for the Gen Zers. You have Gen Zers on social media saying that having to transition from TikTok to Instagram Reels is a humiliation ritual, and they're saying that they're going to be digital refugees without TikTok. And that's actually quite interesting, because that's, the people who are celebrating the ban of TikTok, I truly believe in many ways did not really so much care about the fact that TikTok is a Chinese company, but more so that it's something that Gen Z uses actively. And I feel like the argument and a lot of the vitriol towards TikTok has more, and the support for banning it has a lot less to do with that, the fact that, TikTok potentially misusing data that it's collecting from Americans, and the Chinese government being able to gain access to that, and more so the fact that people just don't like Gen Z. Gen Z right now is very unpopular among Americans. 4 out of every 10 employers have said that they are avoiding hiring Gen Z employees, and they have very negative views on Gen Z. And of course, Gen Z does not care, because Gen Z is in their quit phase and their boycott era. And this is an article that we have here. Gen Zers are in their boycott era, even when it comes to which jobs they apply for. They're being rejected. All right. It's driven by a frustration with corporate culture and the aim of being more authentic at work. Gen Z is in their boycott era. They also stick to their firearms when it comes to applying or not applying for certain jobs when companies don't align with their beliefs. According to experts and Gen Z professionals, while there while there's been an understanding in previous generations that the place where one earns their money doesn't necessarily have to be a place they inherently agree with, Gen Z places the value of its principles higher. These are the same people that want to make 75,000, 85,000, or $100,000 doing menial labor. And their dishonesty in the workforce, they're saying, well, if you want me to be honest, you need to pay me to be honest. Guys, think about how stupid this argument is. Because a lot of you are trying to say, well, these poor kids, guys, life is hard. The truth of the matter is that Gen Z, they didn't get a chance to suffer. Most of them are still living with their parents. When it comes to Gen X, when it comes to the millennials, especially the older millennials, they had to suffer. They had to suffer through so much. Okay, one thing after another thing after another thing, and it's because of that suffering that it created resilience. Gen Z, on the other hand, has not had to suffer. They came out with very high expectations, and when they did not get what they wanted, they basically crept back under their bridge. And they think that they're going to get what they want, but people are just shutting the door on them, closing the door on them. Guys, I made a video. I made a video where I talked about Gen Zers and their relationship with God, and the fact that something is weird about Gen Z. Like, it's not even a matter of atheism or being agnostic or being Christian. Gen Z is very weird when it comes to God. And one Gen Zer responded in my comments to that video, and he basically said it perfectly. He said, I believe in the existence of God. I just don't care. Keyword care. Think about how frightening this is for someone to say. I believe in the existence of God. I just don't care about God. These people, it's a very strange concept because typically the people, typically people who don't believe in God, are the ones who reject God. Gen Z believes in God, but they do not care for God. So even if a Gen Zer believes in God, they don't care, regardless if God exists or not. And even those who do believe in the existence of God do not care for God or about God. Think about this attitude. It's something very strange. A number of years ago, someone very close to me passed away. And it shook my belief in God. And for a number of years, for about 2 years, I think, I had stopped 1 to 2 years. I had rejected, I had given up on my faith in God. But of course, I did come back to God eventually. But think about that carefully. I walked away from God. I said, I don't believe in God anymore. But eventually, I did return to God. But it was my decision of walking away from God and saying I no longer believe in God, which went hand in hand with my rejection of God. Gen Z are rejecting God, but they don't, even if they actually believe in God. This is a frightening stance, guys. Do you understand what the unforgivable sin is? Do you understand what the unpardonable sin is? The unpardonable sin is a constant and continuous rejection of God and a hardened heart towards God. In other words, you want to have nothing to do with God. Gen Z is making it clear, like, well, we know he exists. We just don't care about him. We want our money. Bro, what the living? I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. I understand the atheists, because the atheists, they reject God, and that's okay. But they don't believe. They say they do not believe in God, and they want to have nothing to do with God. But they are outrightly saying that they don't believe in God, right? And they are rejecting God. And they have a right to do that, to make that choice. But Gen Z, We believe, we just don't care. Keyword care. They treat their jobs like trash. They're very dishonest. They'll get up and just walk out. They will literally, just in the middle of the day, a Gen Zer will just get up and say they're going home. And that's it. Like when I used to work in insurance, for example, we used to take regular trainings letting us know that if we misuse customer data, we could end up in jail. And many of you know this that have worked in various industries that you have a variety of responsibilities. How many Gen Zers are working in similar positions and they don't care? Like they will just basically get up and walk away and leave customer information right out there in the open. Like imagine, guys, I used to work on accounts that were worth millions of dollars, and we had some accounts that were worth hundreds of millions of dollars. Imagine putting Gen Z in charge of something like that. And Gen Z's response was like, well, if you want me to be honest, pay me. That's stupidity. An honest person would never say, if you want me to be honest, you need to pay me to be honest. That's a dishonest person. So I really feel like a lot of this ban has nothing to do with China, and more so almost everything to do with people wanting society as a whole, seeing what TikTok has done to Gen Z, or more so just looking at TikTok as a platform that brings Gen Z happiness and being a place where they can gather and share their thoughts and ideas. They want to get rid of it just because it's something that Gen Z loves. They see it as a corrupt, they see it as something that has, led about this degeneracy, but more so, a lot of people see the degeneracy in and of itself originating from Gen Z. Okay, I truly believe that a lot of the TikTok ban is done to spite Gen Z. When Huawei was banned in the United States, there was not a lot of support from the public to ban Huawei. Huawei was a very popular brand. They made some of the craziest phones. I'm sad about it because I never knew how awesome Huawei phones were. I was basically on the OnePlus bandwagon. So I was using OnePlus phones and I was like, oh, this is so amazing. I never experienced Huawei. I did not know that that Huawei phones were so top notch, which sucks. And then I began learning about the Mate series and all of these other phones after Huawei got banned. And I was like, oh man, this sucks. Huawei is such a, they make such great devices. And a lot of people are still very sad over the Huawei ban, and to some degree would like to see Huawei phones return to the United States. No one in no one wants to see no one wants to see TikTok return. In fact, check this out right here. This is an article. TikTok employees are reportedly being asked by US Border Patrol agents if they are part of the Chinese party. Think about that, part of the CCP. U.S. border agents have interrogated more than 30 ByteDance and TikTok employees per Forbes. They're interrogated. They're being asked about ties to the CCP and the security of American data. TikTok CEO Xiao Zishu faced similar questions during a hearing in January. U.S. Custom and Border Protection agents have interrogated more than 30 ByteDance and TikTok employees traveling to the US from China, according to a report by Forbes. Employees are being asked a list of dedicated questions, including whether they have ties to the CCP and what access ByteDance and TikTok have to American user data, Forbes reported, citing anonymous sources close to the matter. Employees from various teams, many of whom are Chinese, are also being asked by CBP agents about Project Texas per Forbes, which is TikTok's overreaching security plan to wall off American data from China. They're also being asked about their educations and political connections, according to the outlets. Guys, TikTok's not coming back. TikTok is not coming back. With this ban now, they're literally going after them. TikTok's not coming back. And I truly believe that a big part of this is because Western society, people in Western society, there's so much support for this ban from the American public that I truly believe this has everything to do with spiting Gen Z and taking away something that they love and viewing TikTok as a degenerate platform linked to Gen Z than anything else. I'm just being very honest. Like, there is, I remember when Grand Theft Auto many years ago, was that's a game for those of you that don't know what Grand Theft Auto is, GTA. Back in like the 2000s, like it was like facing a lot of scrutiny, and they were talking about banning it. They wanted GTA, wanted to ban the series, and then they came out with a game called Manhunt, and that game also faced a lot of scrutiny. And then they came out with a game called Bully, and they also went after Bully, right? And Rockstar really struggled. The thing is though, when it comes to TikTok, no, bro. They and Rockstar is the creative developer of GTA, of Grand Theft Auto. But when it comes to TikTok, everyone's like, get that crap out of here. Get that garbage out of here right now. Ban it, Guys, don't forget I have another channel called Angry where I discuss gaming, anime, geek stuff, nerd stuff, real world stuff, or whatever else interests me. There's a link to it in the description of the video. You can go and check it out, subscribe to the channel, support my work. And if you're enjoying the content on this channel, you want even more of this content, you can head over to the Men Walking Away channel. There's a link to it in the description of the video. I release daily videos on the Men Walking Away channel. So if you want even more Angry Guy content, go and check out the Men Walking Away channel. There's a link to the description of the video. Guys, let me know what you guys think about what we discussed here today. Gen Z is grieving as TikTok is officially banned in the United States. Do you support the ban? Do you agree that this is more than just political? This is personal. The American public despises, has a lot of resentment towards Gen Z, and a lot of the support for the ban is literally just to spite Gen Z. Let me know what you guys think about this, and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA, Men Walking Away, and cheers.